Welcome to the Atomic Real Estate Show, Philadelphia's #1 real estate podcast and a Direct Subs production. Real estate investing is not rocket science, and on our show, we'll delve into best practices with a focus on the small things that add up over time. Please enjoy the authentic, informative, and actionable show with our host, Paul Jagelski.
Hey, man, I really do appreciate you coming on with us, taking the time out of your day. Is this still a good time?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. I liked your little background on you. I appreciate that. How the hell did you grow so fast with, just had the balls to do it? What'd you do, dude?
Yeah, so I kind of got started. It's a long story, but I started working at the age of 10, just one of those small jobs. And then I kind of always had a job throughout high school and basically made minimum wage. I went on to do landscaping in college. And then I got out of college and my goal was always kind of to buy my first house and kind of rent it out to my buddies. And so for 10 or 15 years, I always made minimum wage. And when I started educating myself, that's what was kind of the main ingredient that grew my income and my net worth. So that's when my income and net worth really start to grow, is when I start to listen to books and podcasts and all that. So I got out of college. I had a sales job. My buddy and I actually ended up quitting our jobs to start our own landscaping company. And that took off pretty quick. So we did that. We were pretty beat up from landscaping, and we went to get a loan we were both going to buy our first houses because we had made some pretty good money that summer. And the loan officer was like, I can't give you a loan because you're self-employed and you don't have 2 years of self-employed income. And I was like, great, we start this business to make money to buy our first house. And now we're getting rejected because we overlooked something. So that was our first speed bump. And then we were both pretty tired and we wanted to get, our rental property. So we're like, let's just, get rid of the company and we'll go work in W-2 jobs. So I ended up going to work for Vanguard in tax, and that was pretty rough. It was the most boring job and I was terrible at it. I'm a salesperson, so to go do analytical work and sit behind a computer for 10 hours a day is like prison. And I wasn't even good at it. So it was pretty rough, but it allowed me to have that W-2 income and get my first house. So in 2018, I was able to purchase my first house in Manayunk or Roxborough, a 4-bed, 1-bath, and I rented out the 3 bedrooms to my buddies, and I lived in one. So kind of how I structured that deal was 3.5% down FHA. I got a $10,000 seller's assist. So that covered pretty much all my out-of-pocket expenses because, again, I didn't know what I was doing. And my realtor at the time was like, hey, here's your, your out-of-pocket expenses. And I was like, what are closing costs? And he's like, oh, that's, $10,000, $15,000. I was like, I just have the down payment saved up. And so he was like, we'll get you a seller's assist. Don't worry about it. So at the time, that's something you could do. And so I got that seller's assist, bought the house. I had $1,000 left in my bank account. I had no money. And my bathroom, I move in for a month. The bathroom ends up having to get redone, which was $2,000 because I did all the work myself and a buddy helped me. So I literally had no money. I worked overtime at Vanguard because it was tax season. I worked weekends, so I'd have to make the money to pay for the materials and then renovate it in my free time. So that was fun, but you learn as you go.
That's the key right there, dude. It's a self-education. It sucks. It's terrible, but it fucking teaches you.
Yeah, 100%. And so kind of 6 months later, my girlfriend, now wife at the time, was like, I kind of want to get our own place. And I thought I was going to live there for 5 years. And she's like, I want to get our own place. And I was like, okay. So basically I think 8 months after I bought the first one, we started looking for the second one. And my lender at the time was like, well, your purchase is pretty close together, but you can write a letter stating you had a lifestyle change and that because you have to live in it for a year. And they're like, so you're not committing mortgage fraud. You have to write this letter. So I wrote a letter. We ended up finding another house in Roxborough, a 3-bed row home, just like your classic row home, and ended up moving into that second one. And since we were moving into it, I was allowed to do low owner occupancy financing. So I did 5% down, got another $6,000 seller's assist. So we were like super low money out of pocket. And that house was awesome. I still own both of them today. And then in 2019, I was trying to buy like an investment property and I'd never done it before. And I didn't realize you have to put down like 20% for an investment property. So that was I didn't have the money to do that. And I wanted to learn more about the real estate business. So I was working at another financial company. I switched jobs and really did not like that job. So I got my real estate license and just like got that in 6 months. I really just want to learn more about the real estate industry from that. So did that, got my license and got it in like 2019 and joined the Howe Group in Conshohocken, and they were with Compass. And then in 2020, I like really hated my job. I was working like 10, 12-hour days in finance, which making entry-level pay, it wasn't like a glorified finance cushy job. It was just a grind, making no money, getting yelled at because I wasn't great. And so end of like 2020 comes around, or actually the beginning of 2020 comes around in February. And I was talking to Jesse Johnson, who you had on, because he was my team leader there. And I was like, dude, I hate my job. Like, I want to quit and just become a full-time realtor. And he was like, we'll make it a sales goal. If you do 2 sales a month, then you can sustain yourself and quit. And I was like, great. And then the next week I come back and I was like, so I quit my job. I haven't really made any sales. And he's like, all right, we'll figure it out. And so that was in February of 2020. And then I went to the Howe Group and start going to the office every day. And I was like, this is awesome. I'm getting to learn a lot from people about the real estate industry. And then 2 weeks later, the world shuts down. They're like, you need to go home. You can't work here anymore. I was like, oh my God. So everyone was work from home. And so I didn't really know what to do. And Jesse was like, well, if you know the Howe Group, which you probably do, they build a lot of apartment buildings in the city and they needed help in their leasing department. And they were like, we need help with this one building, start there. And so I started there. Literally, like, if you remember that Monday when they shut down everything, I was the only car on 76. And it was like an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Like, the sun was shining, no one was on the road, and going in the center city, which was like insane. It was like kind of like a snow day when there's no cars on the road, but it was sunny out and just no one was out. It was weird.
Matt, I think I started with the Adams Group almost the exact same time you started with the Howe Group. And so, yeah, dude, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was so exciting, so cool, meeting all these like-minded people, and then it just gets ripped right out from underneath, and you're like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
I was like, what did I do? Like, I quit my job and I have no income. And at the time, Pennsylvania was the only state in the nation that shut down real estate as a non-essential service. And somehow showing apartments was an essential service, so I could still do that. So it was a lot of like masks, FaceTime tours, just weird time. But that's kind of where I started. And it was like, again, like I wasn't making much money doing leasing, but I was so happy because I was my own boss. And
it's the education, yeah.
Yeah, and I was working in real estate on these like new construction buildings that were awesome. And I started doing pretty well with them, and they just kept feeding me more and more buildings. And eventually, like, I pretty much took over the Northern Liberties Fishtown territory for them. So
damn.
I basically like ended up doing like That year I probably did, between them and like other agents on my team, that they didn't want to do certain leasing work because they're like, we're busy enough with buying and selling. I don't want to go out of my house because of COVID and blah, blah, blah. So they gave me like a decent amount of business too. So I ended up doing 55 leases that year. And yeah, it was a lot. And like, dude, like I was driving into the city at like sometimes 8 a.m. for tours, and I would leave the city sometimes. Like my last tour would be at 9 at night because people were off work. So it was a grind. And my goal for that year was just to replace my income with real estate money. And so I basically did that.
This is basically you, Angela.
Yeah,
What, Duckworth, the grit?
100%.
Yeah, dude, that's
The book's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, so you read it?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Your story literally is making me just think of that. Like, just pound it out, go through it, get through that wall. You will do it, and you will succeed. Don't let the negativity take over. This is fine. Don't worry. 55 fucking leases.
Yeah.
For anybody who's never done a lease, yes, leases are just as annoying as any agreement of sale. And then on top of it, most of these big developments in the city require you to go through their portal, making it really hard as an agent to actually keep your client through the whole process. So the fact that you were able to do 55 in a year, dude, that's insane number.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was a lot of work. But like I said, it was really fun, like getting to work on those new construction buildings and just like ask questions and everything. And that year I ended up doing like $1 million in sales. And one of them was an actual sale that I had a client. The other was a guy who was like, hey, I need this sold and I don't want to pay like a realtor. And I was like, you know what? I'll do it for free so I can gain the experience. And dude, like that was terrible. I literally get a call on vacation and they stuck my sign in a historical like memorial site. And so I'm getting blown up on this historical Facebook page, and they're like, this salesperson stuck his sign in this historical site. And I was like, oh my God, like it wasn't me. It was a company that hung up the sign. And I did that for free. And this deal drug out for like 3 to 4 months because a couple of things went awry with it. But yeah, so that was like one of my first sales. They're always tough. And then kind of wrapping up at the end of 2020, we ended up buying our third house and we moved into that one. So did the same thing, 5% down, and got a $10,000 seller's assist. And that was right in Roxborough too. And it was like a fixer-upper, but it was on the street that we wanted to be on. And so basically like that's kind of how I got my first 3 deals, was moving into them. And then after that, my wife was like, we can't keep doing this. Like, you have to figure out a better way to buy investment properties because I'm not moving again. I was like, fair. Like, I don't want to move either. Like, I blew out my knee moving on that house. So I had to figure out going into 2021, now instead of putting 5% down, it jumps up to 15% down for a single family investment property. If you find the right lender, a lot of people think you have to put down 20 to 30%. But I found a lender who would do it for 15%.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was great. And you could do a 2% seller's assist. So I'd be out of pocket for like 13%.
Yeah. You mentioned something earlier that a lot of new, especially investors, don't understand. There's 2 big things. One, the 5% versus the 20, 25, or if you find a private person for 15. But the other one is a down payment versus closing costs.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania is, I was just having this conversation with a set of new buyers, first time home buyers, and they didn't understand it. You know, they were like, wait, what do you mean? We have the, 5.5% that we're going to put down. We have that saved. And I was like, yeah. And I ran them a couple like potential sales in Manioc, Roxborough. I was like, let's pretend you buy this house. This number here is actually your closing costs.
Yeah.
And yeah, it jumps. It's a big percentage, that 2.1% tax transfer, all the upfront fees. Yeah, it doubles almost.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, either way, you're paying it in Philadelphia, you're paying it in the transfer tax. In the suburbs, they have UNO, which is like a mess. If you go to buy a house in like Delco, they could beat you up for like 12 to 15 grand of concrete costs and stuff like that, which happens a lot. And then the taxes are a lot higher in Delco. So like either way, you're paying it somehow, whether it's upfront or over the life of the loan. And that's part of the reason I choose to invest in Philadelphia and like Manayunk Roxborough is because I'm paying that upfront, but I'm not paying the huge, real estate taxes year over year. So the cash flows are a little better.
Not to mention a flat roof in Manayunk goes bad 7,500 for a brand new one, maybe 10 if it's a huge roof. Yeah, my suburb house that I live in, I would guess somewhere around 30,000 right now if I had to do my whole roof.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, those are big differences between investing in the city and the suburbs. That's one reason why I haven't been able to get out to the suburbs, because for me, numbers long term just don't work, and I'm not in a short term game right now of 5 to 7 years. Get rid of it. I'm in that 20, 30 year game. And yeah, the city just makes more sense with the numbers.
Yeah, for sure.
Are there any areas you're specifically looking at right now?
So not right now. I mean, we're kind of like right now we're kind of saving up for like our forever home.
Yep.
Which is kind of like a perfect time because it kind of allows me to focus on growing my real estate business. So I'm kind of pouring everything into growing that, and then maybe in a year or two, we'll buy our forever home. And then after that, I'm going to start looking at probably buying, like I'd like to build up my real estate business a lot and then start buying 2 single families a year in the Manayunk Roxborough or like East Falls area, but probably Manayunk or Roxborough.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite zip codes: 19128, 19127, 19129. It's not a big secret. It's not like I'm giving anybody the world here, unless you're from outside Philadelphia. But yeah, those are what we consider a prime rental locations. And I mean, the prices right now, because I invest in that area, and there's single families out there that I can't even get a 2% rule of thumb to work, let alone a 1% rule of thumb. And they're going right now. So it's still a hot market. We're looking at a couple different zip codes right now, and it's more just trending a couple different zip codes to see if they fit like my style and what I'm willing to go towards. And it's hard, man.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think everyone's waiting for the prices to drop, and they just never have. And I think that's what it's going to be. I think especially in like Manayunk and Roxborough too, people really undervalued it for like the last 5 years. Whereas like if you took a house in Manayunk and Roxborough and you dropped it in Fishtown or Northern Liberties at $100,000, but the rents are pretty much the same. And I think now a lot of people are actually moving to Manayunk and Roxborough because they like the neighborhood, the green space, and that I think a lot of people start to understand, oh wow, for like $350 in Fishtown, I can get a 2-bedroom house. Whereas like in Manayunk Roxborough, I can get an 1,800 square foot house with a yard. So I think a lot of people started to wake up to that, and the prices have surged a lot because of it.
I agree. I really like how you explain that it's actually been underappreciated for so long. So like Manayunk and Roxborough, to me, these are the new prices. Like this isn't anything that to me is going to be changing anytime soon. It's going to be how long, in my opinion, does it take for the rents to catch up to these price changes? Because with all these big constructions coming in, listen, they got beautiful places, but they got a lot of hidden fees that come in with those things. They've got a lot of their own little issues in there. So like I personally still like to be that little investor that can help, little couples out, small groups out versus appealing to the masses. So I like it. It's just whether or not those rents will catch up and how long it'll take for those rents to catch up.
Yeah, for sure.
When you're evaluating properties in that area, what are you specifically looking for?
So everyone asks me this, and I'm like, I'm probably a lot less scrupulous than most investors. So I was just always like, I want to acquire properties in Manayunk and Roxborough because I believed in the area so much. And I probably wasn't as, calculated as most people. I was just like, if I can get a house for a while, it was if I could get a house under 300K that cash flowed like 300 to 500 bucks a month, I'll buy it. And that was just kind of what I was looking at. And I'm only looking at single families because the loans I'm allowed to be like less out of pocket. And then it was kind of, if I could find a 4 bedroom that cash flowed like 400 to 500 bucks, I'd buy that. So that was, it was pretty simple. And I just kind of looked for deals that, are cosmetic flips. So deals that need paint. Maybe I pull up the carpets, put in LVP, backsplash, countertops, stuff like that. I don't want to do full guts because my full-time job is being a realtor. I want to pour all my time into that because that's my highest and best use of time. If I get a full gut flip and it takes me 6 months, like one, I don't think I can mentally handle that. I like to be like in and out in a month, rent it out, move on with my life. I don't want to be a full-time flipper or get involved in those big projects. I just don't enjoy project management.
Hey, dude, that's a good thing, though. I mean, if you know your lane, we talk about it on the show all the time, knowing your lane within real estate and sticking into it. It's those who deviate from their lane that end up having the troubles and the problems. And, oh, I just lost 80,000 on a deal. Oh, this thing went south. Oh, my friend is no longer my friend because they were a partner on this and it did not work. Like, find your lane, stick to it. What kind of tenants do you look for when you're renting your places out? Is it by room, by group, over just one person on the lease?
Yeah, I just look for groups. So I would say like the 3 bedroom houses, you'll probably get like a couple that maybe like they're working and one's going to college or something like that. And then I would say that 4 bedrooms are usually like groups of people out of college or families. So that's kind of, what I usually see in those areas.
You running the properties yourself?
Yeah, so I used to, when I began, try to do my own maintenance. And just like we talked about, like I was doing everything myself, and I was like, oh, I need to learn how to fix a washer because I'm a landlord now. And then I would buy the material and spend $100 and then have to call the guy who knew how to fix it anyway. And I wasted like 3 hours of my time, $100 on material, and then he would just come and fix it anyway. So I learned quickly as like I really don't enjoy fixing or trying to fix stuff. And instead of learning that, I'll just recycle that time into my day job, which is being a realtor. So now I sub everything out. Like I collect the rents electronically, everything's signed electronically. The guy, I don't even really go to the houses. Like the guy goes to fix it. When he fixes it, I pay him electronically. So I really try not to be involved in like the day-to-day operations and just try to recycle all my time back into being a realtor.
Yeah. Well, dude, good for you for, again, finding your lane that works for you, because a lot of people, that's actually their biggest struggle, is that they try and do it because they've heard sweat equity. And if you listen to me talk, I'm a big sweat equity person because that's what works for me. That's how I run my projects. That's how my life is ran, because I quit my corporate job to stay home with my kids. So sweat equity is what does mine. But other people can't do sweat equity because it doesn't fit their lifestyle and it doesn't fit their way. So for you, you found exactly what works for you and is still profitable. And that's great. That's phenomenal out of it. And you had the wherewithal to be like, listen, my time is so much more valuable over here. 3 hours doing this can actually generate some income instead of 3 hours over here trying to save me $300.
Yeah. And if it's something I know how to do, like the house, like me and my wife live in a fixer-upper now. So like it's easy to work on that because I'm there. Or like my one rental in Roxborough is turning over. So I was there on Saturday just doing like hanging blinds and cutting the grass. So if it's stuff I know how to do, I'm like, okay, like I'll go spend 2-3 hours there. But I really try to hire out everything that I can, and I don't do any of the painting anymore, stuff like that, just to make my life easier.
Yeah, painting, man, that's always a sore subject with everybody on the investment group. You either love it or you hate it, and most people hate it.
It's rough.
I am trying to learn the zen of painting, because I am a very, as you, like in and out, like get me in, get out. So I look at a room painting, I'm like, man, I can paint this thing in 2 hours. Let's go. And a painter's like, no, dude, it's going to take you half a day. And I'm like, no, we can do it in 2 hours.
Yeah, right.
And I got to learn that patience. Like, listen, the painter knows it's going to take half a day. Take your time, relax. If it's taking him half a day, it should take you a full day.
Yeah.
Get those lines, cut it in, do it right. So, yeah, it's learning. I'm going through I shouldn't say full gut. I'm going through a first level gut right now. One of my places just turned over. And I've been looking forward to this since they told me that they're moving out. Like I'm the little kid in the candy shop. Like,
nice.
I'm ready. I was there the last couple of days. When you said landscaping, dude, I'm dying. I've been doing some landscaping over there, ripping everything out, making life easier, ripping out the kitchen. I am dying today.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Landscaping, that's what literally killed me, was getting into the landscaping. And I was like, it's 4 little bushes. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it's tough. And those bushes, like the roots go 4 feet down. You have to get a pickaxe out and spend a couple hours on each one.
So I gave up on the roots right now because they went a little bit further than I expected. I was like, that's day 2.
Hey, here's what you do. You dig them down, you get a chainsaw, cut them, and throw dirt back over them and leave the roots there.
All right. I like that. Yeah. So you kind of like like a pole. You just dig around it 7, 8 inches, get down. Okay.
Yeah, make it easy.
I like it. I'm going to have to bring that one into this practice because that was killing me. The kitchen was so much easier than the bushes.
Yeah, it depends. Like I can look at a certain bush and be like, just cut that one with a chainsaw. Like we had this one job when we had the company. We had like I don't even know how big our dump truck was, but we tied chains around these bushes and we're driving the truck to try to pull them out, and they just wouldn't come out. So we just cut them down and like threw dirt over them.
Oh,
so it depends. Some are easy, some are tough.
Are you using any software to track your places?
I do, like, what I do is for every business that I have, I set up a bank account and I have a separate debit card for each bank account. And then I connect that with my QuickBooks, and then every time I go to swipe at Home Depot or if I swipe at Stanley's Hardware, wherever, it pulls automatically into my QuickBooks, and then I categorize it. So it's a cheap and easy way to keep track of each of your properties or businesses.
Dude, mind-blowing. Nice.
Yeah.
That's not that hard. Bank accounts, they'll set them up for you, keep a minimum balance in there. Now you know you got a rainy day fund for that property. Well played. I like that.
Yeah, it makes it easy. And then in QuickBooks, you can easily pull like a profit and loss statement at any time. So you just have to go in and categorize it every month or so, and then you can pull like a profit and loss whenever you want.
That's awesome. I like that idea a lot. I mean, other than having to carry the extra credit cards and making sure you swipe properly, but again, that makes life a little bit easier because now you're not sitting there going through receipts and be like, crap, I bought 2 different places this day. Which one was this?
Yeah, right. And it makes it a lot easier for your accountant too. Like you can give your accountant a login, and like at tax season, she can go in and do everything that she needs to and pull the data she needs to. So it makes it a lot easier.
So you are using an accountant. That was going to be one of my questions to you.
So we got one when I had the landscaping company, and I've been with her for like 6 years now. So it's really helpful. Like she depreciates all my properties and does all that stuff I would never know how to do.
My wife used to do our taxes before we got our first property. We got our first property, and she's like,
Yeah, it's tough. I wouldn't know how to do it. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, so we had one, and he was okay, but he wasn't that expert in real estate. So he wasn't staying up to date because it wasn't really what he was an expert in. So I can't really fault him, but we ended up finding somebody who, like, he loves this. He loves like retirement planning through tax. And so he literally started giving us, and he gives me emails like random, just, hey, tax code just changed. FYI, this affects your business.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, he's giving me like investment things like, hey, look at these 10, 12 stocks for like forever stocks. Just keep pumping them in. Put this drip amount into it. You'll be good. Trust me.
Okay.
He's put me onto M1, which is a drip investment thing for. That's where now, like, he told me about my SEP IRA to start one of those up 1 year. And he was like, if you put this amount of money into your SEP IRA, we can get this amount of money back instantly. I was like, well, okay, let me.
Yeah. That's a good one too. She always tells me to do that, and I haven't, but I need to eventually.
Dude, do it. You don't have kids yet, I don't think.
No, not yet.
But the minute they're freaking born, dude, set them up with like a 529. I used to be 100% against it. I'm now 100% on board for it because a 529 doesn't necessarily have to be used for quote unquote educational. They can buy their first house with it tax free.
That's awesome. Dang, I didn't know that. And you can pay your kids like $12,000 a year or something tax free.
Yep. So that's another big one. Now they have to have like a legitimate job. So like I'm trying to start my property management company because then I can pay my kids to go around and clean up around my properties. Like that's a legitimate job. I can justify that. And then once they get a little bit older and they can do more things, the way I look at it is, all right, if I'm in say tax bracket of 32%, I can pay them 20 grand. 12 of it's not going to get taxed. The other 8% is going to get taxed at 10%. All of that comes off of my income. So now I lower my tax bracket down to 28% rather than 32.
Yeah.
So I'm now not paying it at 28%. They're paying it at 10%. And I knocked myself down a tax bracket.
Dang, that's awesome. So
there's fun little ways, dude. And this is all from my accountant. Like he was awesome with doing it. I don't know if I should call him accountant, CPA or what it is. I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah, one of those.
But like the other one that he told me, he was like, do you have an HSA? I was like, yeah. And I pulled up my HSA card. He's like, shred that. Shred your card instantly. It's like, dude, this is how we pay all of our medical bills. Every year we go into like Amazon, search HSA and just like spend everything we can.
Yeah.
He's like, no. Go into your HSA account. Invest it into stocks. There's an option there. It's a little checkbox. You can hit that. Check that. Invest it into stocks out of it. Hold all your medical bills for a lifetime and pay them cash because you have cash to pay them. If, God forbid, something happens in your life that you ever need that cash again, like you get in a huge car accident, you can't work, you need cash. You have medical bills that you can now go back to your HSA account at any lifetime and go, hey, I need to submit these for repayment. And they'll give you cash tax-free.
Oh,
so
wow.
You paid them up front, and now it's just growing and growing and growing interest.
Dang,
At the time you're 65 years old, you still have money in that HSA, it automatically turns into a 401k.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's good to know. Dang, I would never know that.
Little things, dude. So now, like, I set up a $50 drip into this, a $75 drip into that, a $100 drip into this, and it's all just lifelong things that are going to be tax deferred or tax free at 65, 55 when we get there. And I'm like, if I can afford to do it now, and my accountant's the one telling me I can,
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, he has me now like tracking every little real estate related thing in my calendar. To make sure that if I ever get audited, I have that 750 hours. It's there. It's digital. You can see when it was created. It's not a hand log. So yeah, little things, little things.
Nice. That's awesome.
But yeah, I started all that, dude, the same way you did. Books on tape and reading, trying to educate myself. I listened to him talk and I was like, I don't get any of this.
Yeah, just chip away at it.
Yeah, one at a time. So when's your next purchase going to be?
So I don't know, probably in like a year or two when we buy like our forever home. So I bought 6 houses in like the last 5 years, and we both kind of wanted to take a little break. And so I think basically after we buy our forever home, I'll start buying like 2 single families a year. Just same thing, like 3-4 bedrooms in A-class rental markets that are just cosmetic flips that I can have my contractor go in and just do the whole thing and hopefully like bang it out in a month and get it rented out. So that's kind of my plan moving forward. We bought, after that one in 2020, we bought 2 more, both in Manayunk and Roxborough, like 15% down with a 2% assist, like single family. And then just bought an Airbnb in like
Tell me about this.
Yeah, so in kind of in the beginning of 2022, I had bought one in Roxborough. That was my last single family that I bought. Actually, it was in Manioc, right by the Rook.
Okay.
So I bought one there, and after that, I was kind of like, I want to do something a little different. I've been buying single families and doing the same thing for a while, and I was like, I want like a cool vision to have that'll get me motivated to get up for work every day. So I was like, you know what? I had like written a vivid vision. If you ever read that book,
Yep.
yeah. So in 2021, I wrote a vivid vision. I put a bunch of stuff in there, and one of the things was like a beach house. And I was like, that was just like a crazy goal I threw in there. And after we bought our fifth house, I like told my wife, I was like, I think I'm going to try to buy this beach house. I put it in my vivid vision. I'm just going to see if I can do it. She's like, you're crazy. I was like, I know, but like, I'm going to do it. And she's like, I don't know. And so I ended up just talking about it to people, and I was like, I'm a big believer in like talking about your goals. I know some people are like, keep it quiet until whatever, but I talk about my goals, and I find that people try to help me out with them when I do it. So I was with the How group still, and I was like, yeah, like I want to buy a beach house, but everything's like $1 million. And one of the agents, Amy, calls me. She's like, hey, I heard you're trying to buy a beach house. You should check out North Cape May. And I was like, I never heard of that place. Like, I've never even been to Cape May. And I was like, I'll check it out though. And like the houses there, you could find a house for like $400,000. And I was looking for something like, I set like a clear criteria of I want to be under 500K. I want a detached house because I have a big dog that howls all the time. And I need like a yard, and I want to be close to the water. So she pointed me in that direction, and I ended up looking there. I was like, oh my God, like you can find a house in the 400s. And the lot was 8,000 square feet, and it's 7 blocks to the bay. And I was like, this is like, how does this exist? Because if you go to Ocean City, everything's $1 million plus there. And so, yeah, all the conversations I started having started being about like this Airbnb. And as a realtor, you go out to lunch with lenders and stuff. So I was talking to them, and they were like, yeah, you can do a loan that's for a second residence vacation home, 10% down instead of, 20% down for an investment. So now instead of 15% down for a single family, I'm putting 10% down, and you're allowed to do a seller's assist to cover all your closing costs. So there wasn't many options down there. There was like three that were basically like I could afford, and I connected with a realtor at my office, and he was like, "Hey, we can't go see two of those, so we can only see this one." I was like, "Well, that makes it easy," and that was the one that I wanted anyway. It was like basically 430,000. It needed like cosmetic work, like it was pretty renovated, but like an older couple owned it, so they had carpeting and stuff like that. So I ended up buying that, and we closed on it, and I was able to do like 10% down, and then I got a seller's assist to cover all my closing costs, and then I went down and we stayed down the week after Christmas and did like pulled carpets, put like a million
Merry
pieces of
Christmas.
furniture. Yeah. Put a million pieces of furniture together, all that. So yeah, it was a big learning curve, but
That's
I
a hell
learned
of a
lot.
Christmas gift, though.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of like we didn't know anything about Airbnb, but I found someone. So kind of how I grew my real estate business, I grew that from 1 to 8 million in sales. My first year going full time into being a realtor, and I did that because I got a coach, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing in Airbnb because I don't know anything. Like I can listen to books and podcasts, but I wanted like a one-on-one person to teach me Airbnb. And so I found this person on Instagram who I'd been following, and he actually did paid coaching. And I was like, this is perfect. Like I know like I will shorten my learning curve if I hire a coach from like 10 years to 1 year. And so I just like while I was under contract on that house, I started coaching with him, and I was like, can you look at the house, tell me what I should do to maximize the value of it. So he went through the pictures with me and he's like, I would do this, this, this. So he gave me a lot of good ideas. So I renovated it. And then once I started getting it up and running, I ran into more problems because you don't know what you don't know. And so I'm like, all right, dude, like now I have it up on Airbnb. And now what do I do? And so he was like, okay, you need to get this lock. This lock will make it super easy for people to check in. You can set it to like the last 4 digits of their phone number so they can remember it. And I can do that from anywhere. And then he was like, you need to get this pricing software, which will automate your pricing for you. And you can basically like get all the data too on the area. So it's called Price Labs. It's like 10 or $20 a month. And I can see every 2-bedroom Airbnb in the neighborhood. So if you have an Airbnb a block away from mine, and I'm like, hey, I know that Paul is doing 80,000 on Airbnb, and he did that in the last year. I'm just going to copy his pricing, and I'm probably going to be like pretty okay. Yeah. And so I implemented that, and then the third thing we did was on Airbnb, they rank you based off your response time. So if you're asleep at 3 a.m. and someone's like, hey, Paul, I want to rent your house, and you don't respond, you'll start getting downranked on their website. And so he sent me this software called Hospitable, which we send out automatic responses to people. And then we also like integrated our check-in and check-out instructions. So if you're at the place, you'll get all these instructions that we didn't personally type out, but they're just automated now. So that was the long-winded answer, but that's all the automation that we kind of put in place.
Dude, the long-winded bullshit. That was an awesome answer. I think you can become the coach now. That is amazing. And I mean, just little bits and pieces there. First of all, knowing to hire a coach to help you educate yourself that's awesome. I'm starting that on my notes out of it. Where are you finding coaches from?
So at the end of 2020, I really want to like get out of leasing and get full-time into buying and selling. So one of the things I did was I got a coach through Tom Ferry Real Estate, who you probably get shot his Facebook ads. Yeah, so that's kind of what happened to me, and I just bought into it, and that's been amazing. I still have my coach today. I've been with him for 3 years. And then yeah, the Airbnb one was a guy that I followed on Instagram. His name's like the young retiree by 33. So
okay. Yep.
he kills it on
Yep.
like Airbnb. And so I went into like, I think his link tree or something. I saw that he did coaching, and he's like, yeah. So whenever I did coaching, I would just do a half-hour session with him, and it was very streamlined. I just wrote out a list of questions. We'd hop on a call, and he would answer them for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. And I mean, you sound as if you're an Airbnb expert out of it by now. I mean, and you said you got your rankings recently. You're in that top?
Yeah. So in July, basically after we had a bunch of bookings in the spring market, we got our Superhost status in like July 1st. So we went from knowing nothing in December and like being really afraid of Airbnb to becoming Superhost in 7 months. And I really like attribute that to the coaching. Like it just proves like you can shrink your learning curve. Something that would take you 3 years to figure out or 5 years on your own, and it shrinks it down to 7 months.
What did we say in the beginning? We can pay for our education through real estate like we typically do through our mistakes.
Yeah.
Fast forward that and go get a coach. Listen, in real estate, there's no free lessons, because if they're free, they're fucking terrible lessons.
Yeah, 100%.
One way or another, you got to pay for it. And honestly, dude, and it's weird because I love sports, as you can see my background, and I just did light bulb went off when you said I got coaching, because it makes sense. You hear CEOs, you hear like high-level executives throughout companies always getting coaching and so forth, getting, going to therapy and actually doing it, and it works. And real estate, how fucking smart.
Yeah.
Smarter people than me out there. Go ask them for some time, pay them for their time, learn from them, and wash and repeat.
Yeah. And I always thought it was a scam before I got started into coaching. I always heard about it on podcasts and stuff. I was like, oh, that's a scam that rich people pay for.
Yes.
And
yes.
and then I was listening to Real Estate Rock Stars with Noah Ostroff, who's like a local Philly legend, and he kills it at being a realtor, and now he's a big developer. But he basically said, like, I got started, I got a coach, I became super successful, grew a team, and like now he's huge, but that was the thing that kind of got him started, which is kind of after I heard that, I was like, I really respect this guy. So if he's doing it, I should get a coach. And it definitely did pay off.
Dude, that's awesome. How are you structuring your loans? Because they're not conventional loans. We know that. What are you using?
Yeah. So the first three, the first one was unconventional, FHA, 3.5% down, $10,000 seller's assist. The next two were actually conventional.
Oh, that's right. You did them.
Yeah, they were 5% down, and I maxed out the seller's assists. And then the two after that were actually conventional as well. Yeah.
How did you pull that off?
I called a bunch of lenders. Yeah, I get told no all the time, and then I just go call another person, and you figure it out.
God bless you, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, the next two were 15% down for an investment property, only single family. You can't do it with multifamily. But then I would get a 2% seller's assist on top of that. So I was like 13% out of pocket. And then the last one that I just bought is I think that's a conventional product as well. So if you do a second residence loan, you can do 10% down. And you're allowed one of these in every market. So it has to be so far away from your house. I don't know how far, but it has to be so far away from your house in a resort area. And you have to spend like a certain amount of time there. And that's also like, no one knows the amount of time you have to spend there. But you can go do this at the beach. You can get one in the Poconos. You can get one in Florida. You can get one in Hawaii. So like you can keep doing this. It's not like a one and done thing. You just can't have two in the same market or use two of the same loans in the same market.
Damn, dude. You just kind of gave me an idea for retirement. You get what? Maybe you have to stay in each one for 2 weeks. So that's 26 different places throughout the country. And you literally just fly around the country to your different Airbnbs.
Yeah.
With your 2 legal weeks in there.
It's a good gig.
Yeah. Wouldn't be bad. Hey, I'm just here doing some maintenance checks.
Yeah, right? It's a good gig. It's like the best job in the world. Yeah.
Hey, let's figure out how we can make that one.
Yeah. I love it.
Because as you say, if it's just by market, man, that would be wow. That would be really cool. That'd be really, really cool. So I'm assuming your wife's been on board with all these. Very supportive household. How is she coming along as you continue to grow?
Good. Like she pretty much took on all the Airbnb stuff. Like I do the pricing, and that's like, yeah, like I'll go in once a week, make sure our pricing is competitive enough. And she really took over the day-to-day, like stuff always comes up with like the long-term rentals are pretty passive. The Airbnb is a lot more work, and you do have a lot more interaction with people. So she really handles the day-to-day like interaction with that stuff, and she books the cleaner, everything like that. So she really took on that whole thing, and she's killing it. That's why we're Superhost, because she got all those reviews. No one's saying Matt in there. It's all Anna's super responsive, and she's crushing it. So she's been really good. Yeah.
Dude, that's freaking awesome. I love to hear when both sides jump in and are both excited about it. It makes the journey so much more fun. As you just said, she's crushing it. It's not like it's something that you forced her to have to do. She's having a great time doing it. She got her superstar out of it. Dude, that's my long-term goal. Right now, my wife still likes her W-2 job, so I'm not trying to like push her or anything. But yeah, my long-term goal would be to, get her out of her W-2, get her involved with real estate. My two boys are the same thing. I talk about it on here a lot where, I want them involved. I want them to understand real estate because there's so many good life lessons in real estate. I used to think everybody had to work like some kind of hospitality before, which I still agree with. I do think everybody should work some kind of like front facing restaurant style front desk thing.
Yeah.
But now real estate's one of those other ones where I'm like, you learn so much.
Yeah.
Because again, if you learn to love to work with it, like I do, hey, I want to work with my hands with it. You learn new tasks. If you learn to like, hey, I don't like that, but I wanted to learn how to like manage it, you learn new tasks.
Yeah. 100%.
It doesn't matter which avenue you go. You just got to find which one makes you happy with it.
Yeah.
You can have the blend. You can have a mix. You can have anything. You know, I call myself a stay-at-home dad that does real estate because you can.
Yeah.
Real estate's awesome.
Yeah. And I think I always tell like my clients and my friends, like, I think it's the best way to build wealth in America for normal people. So unless you have insider stock tips, this is the best way for normal people to grow your wealth.
How are you listing your properties? Do you put them on the MLS or just on the black market out there?
So for our Airbnb, we just do Airbnb and VRBO. So those have been like pretty successful. We get most, like I would say 85% through Airbnb and then the rest through VRBO. And I don't have my own website. Like a lot of people are like, oh, can we do, not that many people, but some people are like, can we do personal bookings so we can avoid the fees? And I'm like, yeah, but like someone has to pay those fees. Like the cleaner has to get paid. The short-term rental tax has to go to the township. So like that's going to get paid either way. So that's the nice thing about Airbnb and VRBO. They remit the taxes to the township, the short-term rental tax. Because otherwise you're kind of putting yourself in hot water, not paying your taxes. So that's why I like those websites, and like they do a lot of the upfront work for you.
That's cool. I didn't know Airbnb did all that kind of stuff for you.
Yeah.
That actually takes away a lot of the little stresses. Because again, I have no education at the Airbnb. So as I said, you sound like a coach for Airbnb right now.
Yeah.
What about your single families? Are you putting those up on the MLS? You putting those up on Zillow?
So I actually do have one up for rent right now. So I have it on Zillow and the MLS. Usually I just put it on Zillow because that's where I find you generate most of your leads from. Yeah. And when I was in leasing, that was where we found most of our leads was through Zillow. So now you have to pay like a $30 fee, I think, to host it on there. But I think it's well worth the fee to get the advertising that they do.
I agree. I'm as a licensed real estate agent, I still don't put it up on the MLS, mostly just because, no offense to agents like myself and yourself, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to the tenant. And my job as an agent is to not let you talk to them, is to only talk to me. So I get in that like weird gray area where I'm like, I know this is, but yeah, I don't. To me, it's still the Zillow. I still pay the little fees, whatever they come out with. What was it? 2 years ago, they were like $10 a week. That got shot to hell.
Yeah.
And it was like a one-time fee for X amount of days, but people were getting it off before it hit like the pay. So that went to hell. They're figuring it out. Whatever.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, like now it's like $30, and like every 2 weeks they're like, we canceled your listing because it's not active anymore. I'm like, why isn't it active? Like, I just put this up 2 weeks ago. And they're like, well, you have to tell us it's active. So like every 2 weeks now I have to go back in and click that it's active. And I don't understand it, but I guess they're figuring it out.
I got hit with that one, and I think I found a setting somewhere in there where it could like notify me before it went inactive or something like that, where I could hit the link and then it would bring me back into the app. I'm like, why the hell do I have to do all this extra work? Like, I'll tell you when it's not active, bitch. Like,
right? Yeah. Let me tell you. Don't ask me. Don't cancel my listing that I paid $30 for.
Oh God! And what do you mean? I see the count going up every day. 200 people looked at it yesterday, and 400 looked at it today. It's not inactive.
I don't understand it. I guess they're working it out.
Yeah, I do. I go through all those sites. Avail's another one that I like. They're a free website that I'll list my listing on. I used to do, I think it was like Hot Pads, but all the little ones have all been bought out by the big ones. So it's like Redfin, Zillow, and Avail, I think are the three big ones that I do, and then they branch out to about 10 other little ones.
Oh, okay.
I don't do Craigslist anymore.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, creepos. Bye.
Yeah, right. So do you put yours on? You put it on Redfin and Avail, and do you find like some tenants through there?
96% I would say still come through Zillow.
Okay, yeah, that's how I am.
It gets good exposure, but the
Yeah,
final people typically come through Zillow.
yeah, it makes
Um,
sense.
This year, I'm starting my property management company this year for my internal properties. A couple of my tenants came to me and brought up Rent Ready. So I just got that software. So I'm going to be looking to see what they do because they do a posting that, links out to everything.
Oh, nice.
But same kind of concept. You upload your houses, you upload your tenants. They can actually pay with credit card if they want to pay the fee. They can link it straight to their bank account, so it's an automatic withdrawal, and then they can actually build credit through it versus it not being built credit. I can put all my maintenance requests through it, or they can too. But it kind of logs which house is doing what out of it, and then as rent comes in, it logs which ones are getting rent. You can set up automatic reminders, so 5 days before rent's due, it can send a text or an email to your clients. So, what the research I've done so far for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks that's been brought to my attention has been pretty cool. That's why I've been asking people what they're using. But my tenants brought it to me, and hey, if it helps them, so what, dude? It's a small fee per year, but if it helps them and it helps me, I'm for it.
Yeah. And with your property management company, are you taking on external clients?
Not yet, because I'm not legal, and I try and do everything legally.
Got it.
I have to have my broker's license before I can be legal.
Okay.
And then I will start looking to take it out. But it's a slow build. It's not anything that I'm trying to get up and run over the next year and a half. It's something more about the next 3 to 5 years as my kids go more and more into school and gives me more and more free time to do things.
Nice.
Property management company would be something I like to build because kind of like title, they always seem to have fucking issues.
Yeah.
And nobody's ever going to run my properties the way I want them ran. So I might as well just start a company doing it, teach my kids how to do it.
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
And try and keep it in-house.
Yeah, teach them a skill.
Yeah, because I don't know about you, but for me, meeting the people is such an important thing. It's a relationship. It's at least a 1-year relationship that we're getting into, and they are essentially living in one of my biggest assets that I own.
Yeah.
And they could fucking bankrupt me if they're a piece of shit. And I don't want that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of your work is done up front too, because you're buying in Manayunk, Roxborough, which is an A-class rental market. So you're getting good incomes, good credit scores, everything like that. And you're close to so many job centers. So you pay a premium to be there because obviously the real estate prices are a lot higher than other places. But I think it's well worth it to get, the A-class rental tenants that you do.
Yeah. I mean, and this is no knock on Germantown. I'll just say it because that's one of the zip codes I'm looking at right now because it's right around the corner from it. It's got so much potential, but you jump to almost C and D potential tenants unless you have a really, really nice place in that area. And then you're looking at the Bs that couldn't get Manayunk and Roxborough. And right now, I'm not willing to spend that kind of money and put that kind of money on the line. That you seem good up front, but what happens when you lose your job in 2 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's a working class. And that's what I love about it is Germantown's a working class. If you go over there, they keep their streets clean. They keep their stuff in house. They keep their front porches nice. They keep their cars nice. It's a nice area.
Yeah.
It's just not what I'm used to, which is Roxborough right now. I started it up here, and it's hard for me to kind of go because you can't do the same things. I can't put a garbage disposal in. I can't put a dishwasher in. And I'm no, I want to.
Yeah.
That's what my tenants want, so I want that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the houses are beautiful over there, and I'm seeing a lot of money pour into Germantown. Ken Weinstein built a huge development over there at that Attic Brewing site, and so he's really developing that whole corridor. It seems like, and a lot of flippers are pouring money in there. So it's cool to see.
It is. As I say, I hope it continues because there's another little pocket that I'm not going to really get too much into, but it's pretty much above that. That's a pocket I've been watching now for several years, and it's got a lot of potential to blow up soon, or just stay where it is. You know, it could always be that what it is because it's always been that, but it has a lot of potential to all of a sudden just kind of flip real quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been beautiful. Any advice you want to give to our listeners before I let you go? Because I know we're getting up here and I don't want to take up your entire day.
Yeah. I guess like what I would say for people getting started is, you know, when you're starting out, you're either going to have sweat equity or check equity. So if you don't have a lot of money, you got to go the sweat equity route, which is what like me and my wife did. And we just utilized moving into properties to get our first 3. And that was a nice low money down way to do that. And then, you know, we start fixing them up and, you know, did some refis and stuff. But yeah, I always just did the low money down thing, getting started, and it allowed me to buy those first 3 properties and kind of parlay that into something bigger. But don't be afraid of moving every year or putting in the work, and then eventually you'll be able to go the check equity route.
What books have you read recently?
So I'm reading, the one I read was Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. I just finished that. And I'm reading, I think probably the best business book I ever read. I'm reading right now. It's called 10X is Easier Than 2X. And it's all about the principle of what's your highest and best use of time, which for me is like talking with people about real estate, being a realtor. So I'm working on hiring stuff out that I don't need to do and recycling that back into lead generation for real estate, and like reading more business books. So yeah, 10X is Easier Than 2X, I think is probably the best business book I've ever read.
How can buyers, sellers, tenants, anybody get a hold of you?
Yes, you can connect with me at Call Philly Home on Instagram. That's my Instagram, probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. We do like local gift card giveaways in Manayunk, Roxborough, to support small business. And then, yeah, if you want to see any of the videos, I put up financial freedom real estate videos on YouTube. That's just under Matt Tallent. And then, yeah, any of those ways you can get a hold of me and connect about real estate or real estate investing. We are holding an Airbnb class 2 at my office. So that'll be fun. Like we started these real estate events that are investor happy hours. So if you know, a lot of them you have to pay to go to. These are free for my clients, and for people that, you know, I'm connected with. So they're free. We have free drinks and food, and you get to learn about real estate. So the next one will be in September 20th, of how we went from being Airbnb novices to Superhost in 7 months. And I'm going to have like Tyler Wingett there, who he pretty much runs like the Pocono Airbnb market, because I don't understand the Poconos. And then I'm going to have Kyle Kelly there too, who helped me finance my Airbnb, and he has some Airbnbs too. So it'll be all the pieces of like me kind of covering the shore. Tyler covers the Poconos, and then Kyle can help you get your financing if you're interested in that. So yeah, hit me up if you want an invite for that. We have 40 spots. I think we have like 30 spots left because some of them filled up.
Matt, where do you hang your license from?
So I moved to KW Mainline last year, so about a year ago.
Nice. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get a hold of him, you heard those ways, and he has a lot of little perks that can help you either buying, selling, or investing, which is, dude, good for you. I don't know how you stay so busy, because the little shit that I do keeps me busy, and you're doing like 15 different things over here and here.
Yeah.
How do you unwind? What is it that helps you like just kind of decompress?
Yeah, I like to exercise every day, so I try to incorporate like 1 to 2 hours of exercise every day, whether it's like running or biking like 20 miles. So I've been really into like trying to work that into my schedule every day, just because it helps with everything else, the mental health, the bodily health of like everything. So it really just helps, you know, keep you clear headed.
Yeah, just go fucking bike 20 miles a day.
It's not as hard as you think. It takes like an hour and 20 minutes.
Sure, dude.
Yeah. Jesse Johnson got me into that.
Oh man, I felt good. I got my my new mountain bike for Father's Day, and I went on like a 6 mile bike ride. And I came back and I was all excited.
Yeah. Hit the towpath. Yeah, man. Or the Wissahickon, one of those.
Wissahickon is yeah.
Dude, you know Gary Jonas from the How
Yeah.
Group? So
Yeah.
I see we're connected on like Strava. Him and like John Kraus. John Kraus is like 65. They're hitting like 40 miles every day.
Dude, they're nuts.
Bananas. Yeah, it's
They're
crazy.
nuts. They live by, I'm sure you've heard the name Sky Michaels. They live by his like 6 a.m. get your mind ready, selfish, healthy habits. Which, hey, listen, I'm not knocking because that actually turned my life around. His 6 a.m. group, getting us reading. You can't see all of them. I have about 50 books that are above my head right now.
Nice.
And before COVID and before 6 a.m., I had read quite literally, I shit you not, 0 books in my life. I skimmed them. I asked people questions. I would go by Cliff Notes. I could never read face to face or cover to cover. Sky and his little club got me reading and opened up my mind to what that can do to you and how much education's out there for you. Then I started going to the books on tape and realizing you can put that on 1.7 versus just normal speed.
Yeah.
12-hour book you can get done in about, I don't know, 9 or 7.5 hours or something. And you're like, dude, now you're mowing the lawn, now you're driving, now all of a sudden you're like boom, 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 boom. So yeah, it got me into yoga, it got me into meditation, it got me into eating healthy.
Yeah.
Fruit cleanses, a week long of just eating fruit or drinking fruit juice, really. But
Okay.
not like the store-bought stuff, like pressed real juice for a week, nothing else.
That's awesome.
But it's awesome, dude. It literally, like, everything, his 6 a.m. group and what they believe in is so cool. It's kind of like my man over here, Dr. Amen. He's one of my favorites. Change your brain, change your life.
I'll have to check that out.
Here's another one of his. It's called Memory Rescue.
Okay.
But he's all about what you eat and what you put into your body. Your brain is actually the main thing that you got to focus on, not your heart, not your liver, not your kidneys. All that will take care of itself if you take care of this first.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's, when I lost my hearing back almost 2 years ago now, he was one of the first people that I started reading about, and it was mind blowing. The shit that you put into your body and what it does. And it's not like this guy just does like, oh, I experimented with this person. He actually does what are called SPECT scans. So he actually scans your brain to see the blood flow within your brain with and without the inhibitor.
Okay.
And he'll scan kids' brains and it'll be like, oh, red dye makes your kid angry. Yeah, red dye, watch what it does to his brain. And their brain just like lights up on fire from this red dye. And that's why the kid goes nuts, because it's all temporal lobes going nuts, corporal lobe, everything. So it's just like, dude, the shit we put into our bodies is fucking unreal.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I really got down to like fruit, meat, and vegetables, and like I really try to cut out sugar when I can. Yep. So we'll have to start the Paul and Matt doctor with our real estate licenses.
I know. There are people looking at me like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Do not take our medical advice. We don't know anything.
I know, I'm like going way down those rabbit holes now.
I like I don't know if you read Peter Attia's like recent book Outlive, but I'm like halfway through that. That's a pretty good one too.
No, it's on my list. I haven't read.
Yeah.
I got like 4 books from you already, and that one's one. But yeah, that one's on there. I just finished. Where is it? Gary Vee's new book.
Oh, nice. I haven't read any of his. I need to like start reading his books.
That was a good one. And then this is another one of my classics, Be Where Your Feet Are.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that one out too.
Ironically, that one came because my wife's job was like, everybody gets $20 to Amazon, but they have to buy that book.
Okay, I like it.
We're like, I guess if we're going to buy it, we'll read it. And it ended up being like, I don't know, maybe her CEO at the time or somebody within the company wrote it at the time. But I read it and I was like, oh shit. It literally just basically tells you, and I don't even know where my phone is because I'm terrible about it. Basically tells you like, get rid of this.
Yeah.
If you're in the room with somebody, be in the room with somebody.
Yeah.
If you're eating dinner with your family, eat dinner with your family.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, like, it's stupid, but it's so simple and so stupid that actually, makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the important stuff is just simple. And I've kind of found that out more as I'm going along. Just simple things make a big difference.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And as you said with the real estate, it's right there. I mean, the simple little steps. You found roadblocks, and all you did is had to pick up the phone and make another call. And then eventually you found the right people to do the right thing. I mean, I really got to call you Mr. House Hacker, because you did it the right way, moving them and then find the way to put the least amount of money down.
Yeah.
That is the true hack for everybody out there. All of our renovation costs are the same. All of us all have to flip it for the same. We all have to pay the same realtors and shit.
Yeah.
It's the money down that makes or breaks if you hold this long-term, short-term, or so forth. And that's where we're seeing the big pivot in our current market is developers are going from, hey, we can buy, renovate, put the money in and sell and still make money, to now we got to keep money in that deal. So now we're going to become landlords for a short term until we make that money back, and then we'll sell it.
Yeah.
So if they're pivoting, we've got to pivot in ours.
Yeah. And I always look at it as like real estate investing doesn't have to be hard. Like if you buy one a year when you're 20 and then you're 60, you have 40 houses now. If you buy two a year from when you're 30 to 60, now you have 60 houses.
Yep.
So it little consistent steps, but it equals big results down the road.
Yep. And the other one, to your point, look at doors. You don't even have to look at just single families as the one way, you know?
Yeah.
Because I was on your path. I wanted 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 for the next 5 years. And I happened to fall into a duplex. And I was like, oh shit, that's 2 years worth. I can sit back for a year.
There you go.
And then the next one I happened to be a duplex. And I was like, oh shit, I'm this is kind of good trend. And maybe every other year I do this instead. So yeah, I mean, again, it's all just finding your lane, sticking to it, and going forward with it. And then if you don't know where your lane is, get a coach, get a partner. Don't fuck up on your own.
Yeah, for sure. There's so many people willing to help out there, and you just ask questions, and people want to help. People want to help people. So if you just reach out, I reach out to people all the time and ask for help. So just reach out to people who are further along than you are, and they'll pull you up to their level.
That's awesome advice, dude. My dad used to always say, all they can do is say no.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to ask. But Matt, this has been a pleasure. This has been a Direct Subs production. Please check them out at directsubs.com. We are looking to connect people just like this. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you again for all your time. And hey, everybody out there, let's be 1% better, and let's be better like Matt. Maybe you can reach out to him and figure out how you can be better too.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on, and I'm happy to help anyone. So reach out.
I appreciate you, Matt. You have a good one. I appreciate all your time, and we will talk soon.
If you enjoyed our episode, please consider supporting the show by rating and reviewing the podcast. Also, check us out on Instagram at Atomic Real Estate Show to find out when new shows drop and to participate in our community Q&As. The Atomic Real Estate Show was brought to you by Direct Subs. Direct Subs is the #1 place for real estate investors to connect with local contractors for their flips, rentals, renovations, and new construction projects.